In the previous video we are able to complete variables and how to concatenate variables. That's what we have seen, but in this video we are going to see on data types and typecasting. So let's go ahead into the website, and these are important concepts. Again, as we discussed about variables in detail, we will try to discuss about data types and typecasting as well, because everything that we need to do in any kind of software job or any kind of process is pick data from somewhere, place it in somewhere. That's what normally a software developer will do, though he does in multiple ways. For example, there is a person, he takes a photo and the photo need to be placed somewhere, so data is being captured from somewhere and being placed somewhere. So that's what it's all about. So everything is related and interlinked with data, and there are different types of data that we need to deal with. In the previous video, if you haven't seen, check out what are variables and how are we using variables. In this video we are particularly seeing on what are data types and how are we going to use data types. So I have already explained you about integer, double, character and string. There are multiple other data types that we can use, and frankly speaking, while developing in UiPath, I haven't used many of these things. For example, long I haven't used, and sometimes I use double, and float sometimes I have used, but most used variable types or data types are double, boolean, character, string, and there are some complex data types called lists and arrays that we can see in the later videos. But for this video, let's understand what are the different data types and how they are being used. So as I have mentioned to you earlier, character can contain only a single character, like either A, B, C, a single character, not more than that. But if we want to combine multiple characters, then it will be a string. And what if we want to have something that is either true or false, then we need to map it as boolean values. And if there is a number that will have if a number we have and that's without a decimal, then we can use it as integer. And if we need to add some values with decimals, then we need to use either float or double. So what is the difference? Why do we need to use this? See, there is a concept called computer memory management. Now we are using, we are able to use tons and lots and lots of GBs, terabytes of GBs of data we are able to store it. But when we started to work on computers, and there is only very limited amount of space where we need to write the data. For example, only a 2 MB of memory might have utilized a complete room, a 10 by 10 feet of room equipment, which now can be stored within a small chip. So we need to understand why do we need to use such long characters, and these type of variables or data types are being used and still will be used, but we just need to understand how and when and where to use them. Okay. Simply try to understand that boolean is for true or false. Double, see, we can store fractions in float as well as in double, but if you see the range, we can store only 6 to 7 decimals in float, but if it is more than 15 decimals or if it is more than that, then we need to use double. So that's the ranges that we need to talk or we need to understand. Again, we need to understand that an integer can be converted to long, because an integer value is 1, 2, 3, that is also acceptable in long as well as double, floating point numbers. But to convert a value from double, which is having decimals, if we want to convert it into integer, how can we do that? So we will try to work on those things. Let's start with the example, and we will see what is the type of it. So we are going with data types, and I am going to start with a new add sequence, data types. and all the code that I have created is already published in GitHub, so you can go ahead and see the code here, and if you want you can add import the code. But if you are not able to understand, you can come back and see with this video. Let's go back to the code and see what's there in the code. Right line, my number is 10,000 and long is something like this. You can definitely use. What I can show you is with floating point numbers right now. So let's add a variable, my float FLO80 number. So this float number can be of type float, FLO80. Let's see if we have any variable type with float. So only variable type of float is also not available. So let's go and save with double. And if I want to handle something with double, we can definitely do it, because we can store, if you come back to the type, you can store only 7 decimals in float, but in double we can store up to 15 decimals, so this can be stored. A float can also be accommodated. And here my number, which is of this type, so let's go ahead and save as 5.36. let's see if this will be working. Yes, we can also do this. And even if you add f, which mentions that this is specifically a floating point number, that can be done. And if you add d, this is a double number. So that naming convention you can do, but leave about this extra values. You can just add decimals by adding double as a data type. So let's go ahead and print this out. Let's see what we will get. Log message, and this is my float number. Debug. So we are able to get the value. So the float is again can be converted into a string. We have these values, and if you want to see what is the difference in detail, you can go ahead and read this. Again, these all are scientific numbers, and if you are working on NASA and if you are working with UiPath, then this can come in handy for you. But normal coding and normal software industry, we don't use them. Okay, let's also see C# is fun, true, fish is tasty as false. So boolean values is what we are having here, and characters, again if you want to get in detail with grades and all, I have already explained this in my previous video, which is about variables part 1. Go ahead and check that out. Let's see what is not covered, which is typecasting. So here we have a variable. Let's go ahead and add, let's rename. So if I want to rename any file in this, let's hit F2, and then just I can rename it data types. And if I want to add any file, I can right click, add sequence. Sixth one, it is typecasting. So in this particular typecasting continuation, we are going to see how to convert a string that is a number to a integer. Let's try to do that. So implicit casting is like character can be converted into an integer, can be converted into long, can be converted into float and double. So this is like a hierarchy. If it is a character, it's also an integer, and if it is an integer, it is also a long value. If it is a long value, then it is a float, and if it is a float, then it can also be a double value. Explicit converting is like, if it is a very big number, if you are converting it to float, then 15-digit decimal will be converted into 7-digit decimal, and as we come down, then the count will be reduced. Let me quickly show you how that will work. Here in integer, let's get and add the same values, so that this will be easily understood. We will try to add multiple assign. In this multiple assign, let's create a 2 variables, one with myInt, okay, and then the second one with my double. Add, okay, and both variables you can get it over here. Okay, control K, control V. Okay, there is already a variable with this name, so control A, control K, control V. My double name already exists. Okay, what is this? Control X. Okay, we have integer as well. And what do we need to add? Integer value is 9. Let's add 9, and double value is 9. So here we are, see, if that's not the same type, then it should throw an error, but this will be accepted. Now what's this? Cannot be assigned to system of string. That's what it is. Because this is of string, we cannot assign it. But if we can change this value to integer, my int is integer, and sorry, my double is a double value, and my integer is an integer value. So this will be accepted, and I need to assign my int for this. I can assign the value. So my int value I have assigned it to 9, my double value I have assigned it to integer. So we are converting an integer to a double, which is possible. But let's add something with string again. See, string, if we add something with string, this my string, and if I try to add integer, my integer to this will throw an error. The reason being, a integer cannot be converted directly into a string. So how can we convert it? First let's understand, or first let's log these values, and let's see what we are going to get. Log message, and again here I am going to use a concept called concatenation that I have already explained to you. My integer, and I am going to concatenate with my int, and if I want to add my double, I can also do that, my double, and I can add plus, and I can add my double here. Can you see that there is an error? But why? Because anything that we are writing as an expression, that should be in a single line, but if I want to do like this, I just need to add an underscore at the end, and I can directly add plus over here. So this should give me a correct value, and the reason it's not giving me a correct value is, let's see, disallows explicit conversion from string to double. Which value is double here? Okay, this is double here, so I need to convert it to string, so that, and this value also to string, for me to have the value in the logs. But if I have only one value, then program can easily understand that okay, this need to be converted. But if we are adding some extra fields like a string value and my double value, these two are strings that can come in directly, so we need to explicitly say to convert them to .toString, and maximum all the data types will have .toString property. Let's debug the file. Let's see what values do we get. So here in the output we can see typecasting executing, which is this one, and multiple assign executing, and then my integer value 9, my double value is 9.0, is 9 again, because we have this value. What if we add .00 to this, and okay, .2535, see, this will throw an error. A double value cannot be changed to a system.integer. So if you want to add a value to a double value, or a double value which is having a decimals into a integer value, see, when you again convert this to an integer, this will again throw an error, or this will not allow you. So to do that, how you can do is, there is an option called cint, which is C integer. This accepts any value, and if you press control space, here you can see this accepts a value cint, and I am talking about IntelliSense here. And if I need to change or if I need to convert this 5.36, I can change it. So the expected value is 5.36, but let's see what output do we get. So here it is mentioning that integer of 5 is my double of 5, but when we convert this, then the decimals gets removed. What if we add 3.56 or 5.36 here? Will this be accepted? Yes, it will be, because this accepts decimals up to 15 digits. Okay, and when we print out this value, let's go ahead and debug this value again. When we print out, we are going to see my int value as 5, but my double value as 5.36. So that is typecasting. We are converting one type into a different type. That's how we are going to work in this next code sessions. So again, this is C#, but if you want to convert, like as I have mentioned, you need to understand the difference between the codes and how you need to add them in VB, so that this can be useful. So integer will be cint, convert to integer in VB, and let's see if this will this we can add in. Okay, let's add integer int and 36. Can we get this? No. What is it saying? Int accepts overload resource, no access, because not accessible. This is not accessible, but if we are using cint, this will be converted. Okay, just try to understand. There is a different way how you need to convert the things. So convert to boolean, convert to double, we also have these. Let's try to execute them and let's see what is the value. So I am copying the code again, and I will try to use this code to write what we want. Properties, and let's see. So console.writeLine, I can remove this console.writeLine. Convert.toString myInt, let's remove this and let's add. Okay, and then let's add a underscore. So as I have mentioned, if you have underscore, you can go into the next line. Okay, here we need to add an underscore. And what is the error here? So let's also remove these things, because C# coding convention, in C# coding convention we need to add semicolon, but in integer, in VB, we did not add these values. So let's add an underscore, let's add an underscore, and let's also add an underscore. Simple things. We are trying to convert my int value into a double which is already there. So let's also remove this. We already have an integer. Let's try to convert an integer into an integer. Let's see what we will get, and let's see what option do we get when we have my bool. So let's also remove this convert, and let's see if this will work or not, or if this will not work, then how can we change this. I want to add my int value and I want to convert it into a string. So I want to convert it into a string, and I want to convert it into an integer. And what else? I want to convert it to boolean. Okay, so what are the errors that it's throwing now? So because I didn't add plus, which is concatenation, this is where it's throwing an error, and at the end I need not add this particular values. So this is the end, and let's see what's the value. Disallows implicit conversion from string to double. Where is string, and from where do we need to convert it to a double value? I think this is an integer, so to convert it to string we need to add dot toString, and to convert it into an integer, dot toString. So again I am converting string values here, dot toString. Let's see whether this gets accepted or not. So what it is saying, disallows implicit conversions from boolean to double. Okay, it cannot convert boolean values, so let's remove the boolean values. and let's see what do we have now. String to double, where do we have string and where do we have double? So let's also remove this and let's see. So this is where we have an error. When we are trying to convert integer dot to integer, it will accept only double values. That's what you need to understand. My double. Okay, what's the value that it's saying? From string to double. Okay, got it. So whenever we are writing these values, see, the problem that I get to notice is we should add dot to string at the end, because we need to convert these values to a string to show them in the message boxes. Now, okay, see here, we are trying to convert an integer value to boolean. We are trying to convert an integer value to an integer. We are trying to convert an integer value to a string. Let's see the output, and this is successful. The compilation is successful, and let's see with the execution. String is not recognized as a valid boolean value. So this clearly mentions that if we have a string value, we cannot convert that to a boolean value. So try to understand boolean need to be a true or false. So let's go ahead and give it as true, and let's see, true. So we have the values here, and there is one more thing, 0 and 1 can also be converted into boolean. Let's see if this is true. 1 will be true and 0 will be false. Let's check if we have true here, and see, we gave 1 but we have true here. So 0 and 1 can be converted into boolean values, 0 being false and 1 being true. So that's typecasting. If you did not understand, just try to think it like this. You are trying to have, or you're trying to make or do a markup of a person into a different person. That's how we can easily think of it. So here we are trying to convert, we took an decimal value, we converted into an integer, and we are trying to add those values into different types. We are trying to convert it into a string, and we are trying to convert it into a value. Here if you observe, there is 5 and 5. Let's see why there is 5 and 5. Because it is converting it into an integer, and again this integer value we are getting it in the form of a string. So 5 and 5 is accepted. Okay, so that's it for this video. Don't forget to hit that like, share, subscribe buttons, and here you have a join button. Go ahead and hit on the join button. From next few videos we are going to share them only to the members, so go ahead and take the membership. It's very easy to take a membership. You can visit this video after you see this video. Let's see how to do that, joining a membership. In my channel, if you go into any video and you can click on join, and in this join try to take hyper automator, as this can cover super automator and automator, but you can have many videos in all the different membership levels, so go ahead and check it out. Okay, that's it for this video. See you in the next video, where in the next video we will be covering user inputs and operators, math functions, and we will be doing a lot of fun.